Hey, what's up?
You know, the sky, the clouds, and Galen.
You don't mean that.
Literally, yeah, he went off to see another concert.
Oh, wait, a second time?
He should be around soon. He was just flying back with his PC.
He what?
Not literally this time. He was just rushing back home now that it's fixed.
Hey, I'm back. Hey, what's up?
Music! Yes, that is what's up and nothing else, Eddie. As we have to talk about all things floating, flying, and gliding in the sky on this episode of the Music Arcade.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Music Arcade. I'm Galen the Sound Guy Firestone.
I'm Ronicle, feeling pretty grounded but open to other dimensions.
And I'm Eddie, and let's talk technical difficulties for a bit, I guess.
Okay, so, the last time we recorded one of these lives was for the 100th episode, and I was just in the process of rebuilding my computer after the Kona Low messed up my BIOS and maybe reinstall Windows.
I forgot this was because of the elements
Uh-huh.
that it all started.
Yeah, this was a storm causing a power surge that my surge protector just said, yeah, too much for me, and fried everything.
Like, I believe literal smoke was involved.
Not yet. That came later, and I'm getting to that part.
Yeah.
Excellent.
There were 2 rounds. The first time we
Uh-huh.
already made a joke about it in our minigames episode.
Sure did. So I was operating off of a little Focusrite interface. My main interface was still down because I was waiting for the new part to come in to fix it. And I had another trip I was going to take to go see this random Square Enix playlist concert at the Shrine that I bought tickets for like last November and semi-forgot about.
As
Anyway.
one does.
I get home from that first trip with I get home from the first trip, not the Square Enix one, the death metal one. And I try turning on my computer, and that's where the literal smoke happens. Pop. The VRM on my motherboard goes boom. There goes my whole computer.
That's bad.
That's real bad. So that turned into a whole thing. I had to take it to a shop in Pearl at the Navy Exchange. PC Gamers Hawaii. Love these guys. But it was a whole process getting my computer up and running because of part scarcity and just a bunch of things needed to happen to get my computer up again. So I took this other trip to LA, borrowed a temporary computer from Best Buy, etc., made the previous episode of Music Arcade at least recording work. I haven't edited it yet for reasons I'll talk about shortly. Got home. The day after I get home from this LA trip, I finally get word that my computer's ready, and they delivered it to me where I am. I got it installed that day. That was 2 days ago, so I'm finally back up and running now.
And that's why we will not be insulting Poseidon anymore.
No, I think Poseidon, Odin, all those storm gods, I think we're just gonna be like, we're not going to insult them. I think I've learned my lesson on that one.
I'm specifically talking about the one responsible for a lot of the Odyssey.
On that subject, am I the only one looking forward to that movie? I'm kind of down with it.
I haven't really looked up that much, but I'm open to it, and I'm open to them getting wacky with it.
The trailer looked okay to me. I'm not too hyped, but we'll see.
I've never seen Nolan do like a historical epic before, so it'll be an interesting change of pace. Anyway, today I am finally back. Everything is up and running as it should be. Computer is running, interface is running again, Pro Tools is running correctly. I do still have to edit episode 101, that was a whole thing. I had to record it on weirdo software on a weirdo computer, and I just could not manage to make an edit work on that software. We're good here. We shall see. Anyway.
The episode will roll through, and the recording will continue until morale improves.
Pretty much. We are back. I am back. My technology is back. Life is good. hello.
Yeah.
And for now, I suggest we fly away from the torment.
I love that plan.
And given the rocky circumstances, we are back to a pretty regular kind of episode on a relatively straightforward theme, which is flight. Lots of flying theme, which are pretty context dependent when it comes to games. Flight is obviously treated very differently in a game where you're mostly grounded and suddenly you take off than from a game that's all about it. And we'll definitely explore a little bit of both today.
Absolutely.
I will tell you, I am slightly annoyed that in our minigames episode, I used the Birdman theme from the Tiny Toon Wacky Games something. Because that was the first song that came into my mind when I saw the theme being suggested in our Discord. And I went, well, there goes a choice.
Welcome to the music arcade, my dude. This is just something that happens.
Many such cases.
Yep.
But we did manage to get some picks in, and let us start with a pick that I brought because, sometimes you just take the obvious to highlight the theme, start with a solid base, and sometimes you want to highlight some more underground or little-known games. So I hope this pick will bring attention to a little upstart named Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII, to go with the original pronunciation. It's pretty underground. You wouldn't have heard about it.
Yeah, no, wouldn't have heard about.
I hope this small artist, Nobuo Uematsu, I hope he gets some more jobs.
Yeah. Although he's
still doing live shows, so clearly he's doing well on that
Jokes
front.
aside, he seems to be really enjoying his semi-retirement, so it's still doing work. So good for him. Yeah, no, obviously we do proof of concepts, and FF7 is about as proof of concept-y as it gets for this particular topic. You get an airship has music really good. Duh.
Indeed. And I think it represents very well that stage of JRPG where you're on the world map, that you've already gone through most of it, and suddenly, through some plot contrivance, you get your cool ship with capitals that cool and ship. And for this one, the cool ship part, what I like is that you can hear it in the music with the rising and falling sounds quickly, being like a reminder of the cogs and motors of the machine that flies you through the world.
Yeah.
On top of the more aerial notes, the longer synths, and of course, the way the main theme of the entire game is very much present there with a very grand kind of reinterpretation.
From a strictly music theory standpoint, this song is simple but cool. It has this fun kind of major key intro, brief foray during the bridge into minor and Phrygian.
Yeah, for the standards of FF7, which have done a lot of flexing and kind of testing the limits and the power of the PlayStation sound chips, this doesn't stretch those limits.
No, and
it's serene that in this way, kind of.
It's very similar to his very directly previous iteration of this, which is FF6's Blackjack. Compositionally, they're not that far apart. It was very clear that the mission for this particular song was just do the thing. Let's not get fancy about it. There's plenty of room to get fancy about it in this soundtrack, so you don't have to always do it.
We even have the similar contrast where you have the flying music that's pretty positive and then the grounded music that's much more tense in this phase of the game.
Yep.
Just like it is with the Falcon and not the Blackjack.
Yep.
But yeah, those kinds of memorable themes about cool ships are why we even remember the names of the Falcon, the Blackjack, the Highwind, the Ragnarok, the Hildegard. And not as much the stroll, because even though it's more plot relevant, you need a world map to soar through to really shine and really earn your cool ship status.
There was a bunch of airships in FF12, mostly named after Eidolons, but they were mostly dungeons.
Yeah, exactly.
So the vibe wasn't quite there. The vibe is absolutely here on FF7's. Duh, again, one of the most famous soundtracks of all time. Arguably the most famous RPG of all time. Like, yeah, duh.
I mean, speaking of vibes, I think it's also worth pointing one thing out real quick, because this song already introduces us to one little element, one little musical element that we will see throughout most of our episode today, which is that in the back somewhere the song has this driving. Usually it's a driving percussion. Here it's both percussion and strings. That kind of gives this feeling of forward momentum.
Yes,
which is what changes things from drifting in the sky to flying away.
That's a very good point. You are self-propelled. You're not just drifting through the winds, you are navigating through them.
Mm-hmm.
And we will hear the difference with a much later pick in the episode where it's more drifty. And it's a very good point that those two have very much different sounds. And right now, we're on the more active part of it.
Sure enough.
Ironically, the next track is named, depending on who you asked, Flying or Soaring. So that's a point that's both relevant and helps us get slightly confused at the Square Enix soundtrack's naming scheme.
I was gonna say it's not just depending on who you ask. It's depending on who you ask within Square Enix marketing department.
Yeah,
indeed.
Because apparently, we covered this pre-episode. Apparently, VGMDV calls it Flight, and apparently that's its official name, quote unquote. But then a week ago, I saw this particular song in concert, and Artie Roth called it Soaring. So I'm just sitting here like, thanks! Thanks, Square! I really appreciate that you have no idea what to call this damn song.
My guess is that one is an official literal translation of the soundtrack release, while the other is how they settled when they kind of unified things later down the line.
Translation versus localization, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, let's talk Xenogears.
Yeah. Item 1, I was utterly shocked to hear Xenogears show up at this concert. I probably shouldn't have been, because it is a cult classic, and they played way weirder stuff, but I'm still kind of like, they remembered Xenogears exists, and they played a really cool song from it, and it fit right into this theme, so that was my first of two choices. I have loved this song.
A solid one.
Yeah, I have loved this song for decades. Xenogears soundtrack kind of, I don't want to say gets slept on, but like the game itself, it definitely has less audience reach than Final Fantasy VII. Despite being in that same kind of golden age of Square Enix time frame, I think they were very, very close together in terms of release.
And Xenogears definitely he is a stranger entry. It's less polished in places, but it definitely goes places, which you wouldn't really hear from that track, because sure, there's a bit of a warlike tone at first, but very quickly it goes and focuses on more of a joyful sense of freedom. And if the only thing you know about Xenogears was this track, you'd think, man, this easygoing game about fighting makes sound like a great time.
Yeah, it gets shockingly like normal in this particular song. Whereas most of this soundtrack is Yasunori Mitsuda really playing around with stuff in a way that he didn't really on Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, I have the first line in my notes is that this song is extremely Yasunori Mitsuda. Like,
Yeah, sure is.
It's him doing his usual thing. It's not very experimental.
No.
The most Mitsudaist that Mitsuda has sounded.
But just like FF7, and obviously this is why you put these two together, it's very much like, this is the assignment, just do the assignment. Sometimes you don't need to get crazy.
Yeah. And I think given the frequency at which you fly to go around the map, having something pretty standard, pretty re-listenable, makes perfect sense. Also, with a very recognizable start, because oftentimes you're going to enter your ship and then either enter the inside of the ship or drop off 5 seconds later, so something that can be started and stopped pretty quickly, pretty effectively, and still leave an impression, while not overstaying its welcome on long flights, is absolutely the way to go.
Yeah. This is one of these things that I don't think needed much experimentation, which is, again, good. This is good. It's all good. It's just a very nice song. It was awesome hearing it live. Like, that's kind of one of the bucket list things. I'm probably going to talk about this concert more in detail during Now Playing.
Oh, yeah.
But,
Also, it's very funny on both levels that this track is kind of what blocked me from even considering Don't Worry, the flying mech theme from Xenoblade Chronicles X, because same series and you're also flying, which is much more experimental and in some way doesn't work as a quick start and stop flying theme for that reason.
yeah, I feel like I'd be annoyed by that.
I'm sure you'd be.
Yeah.
I don't think you're much of a Sawano fan.
So far, I'll be honest, the things that I've heard from Xenoblade Chronicles X has not resonated with me very much.
Yeah.
On the subject of not resonating with me very much, let's talk about Jesper Kid.
All right.
That was direct.
Sorry. It came to mind.
Sure. Whatever floats our boat, I get.
Well, whatever floats your pre-Renaissance crazy contraption, more like.
Yeah, basically. So we're talking Assassin's Creed 2 for those who didn't catch it. And for those who haven't played or don't remember it, since, my god, it's a game mode by current standards. You do have minigames where you test Leonardo da Vinci's early machines. This song, Flight Over Venice 1, is one of two songs that play in missions where you're testing basically a glider made of wood and parchment, I think.
Yeah, and honestly, my first reaction when seeing the track even in the playlist was like, hey, wait a minute, that's a game in the late 15th century. You can't put a flight theme in the... Oh, wait, Leonardo da Vinci. Never mind. Carry on.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
I like how he's about as effective as saying magic to explain how something could be in a game.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much. To the point that a poem by him is used as the lyrics to the Civilization 7 main theme.
Oh yeah, no, 7 does have multiple poems, but 6 was the one about the dream of flight.
Was it 6?
It was 6. 7 is the different epics from different continents and civilization.
Oh, okay. So yeah, Civ 6 then. My bad. But
I know, because I had considered it as an entry for this episode.
Yeah, it makes sense. But going back to Assassin's Creed 2, I don't get why the song starts so slow. I don't remember if there's dialogue or something there, but I do like that it uses an acoustic guitar for the driving momentum rather than percussion that you usually hear.
I mean, those early machines take a while to get started, I suppose.
Oh, it's literally a glider. This much I remember. You just hang on to it and you just jump over off a rooftop, and you are gliding around Venice, going up when you get some updraft.
And I think one of the parts that you can hear in the music as well is that the atmosphere of the city you're flying over is still very much present. This still kind of feels like a city theme with gliding on top, but you're not completely above and detached from it. It's a low flight theme, not fully in the clouds.
And it's a night city theme at that, so that also explains a bit the etherealness. Though most people who have played the game and remember the minigame probably mostly remember the guards shouting, shoot the demon, rather than the music.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I do like the use of guitar here. Like I said, the strings, I think, are something that Jesper knows how to use. Usually, at least. Sometimes it does fail, but I think this is somewhere it gets it right.
Yeah, the guitar is very cool on this. I like the guitar. I like the atmosphere. I'm going to be honest, this is one of many of his songs that just seem to go nowhere. It's just sort of there. It's just like all atmosphere, no hook.
My main kind of tempering factor is that given the exceptional nature of flight in this era, it is a bit understated.
Yeah.
I did, like, one of the things that I wanted to do with this episode on my end of the picks was try to bring things that you might not expect for the theme.
Which is good.
Or games
you've
you might not know.
And you definitely made some cool entries later online as well.
So I bring that up because I do agree that this song is a bit understated for what would have been a miracle in the 15th century.
Yeah.
But I think Jesper did come up with a cool song for it. Though maybe he could have gone a bit more cinematic there.
Indeed.
I feel like this one in particular is underbaked, but like I said during the rather aggressive transition, I'll be honest, I'm coming to the conclusion that I'm just not a fan of his. The only soundtrack of his that I think I like, quote unquote, is actually Warhammer Darktide, and I think that's just because he was allowed to get really wacky with it. I don't know, the energy
He has done some pretty great work with some Hitman tracks and indeed Darktide, which is an OST that I absolutely love. And yeah, the more he can get intense with it, I think the better his work shines through.
Yeah, but songs like this one that just are this quiet, I can't find it. I can't find the song.
I'm the kind of guy who, like, when it comes to the trilogy of Assassin's Creed games centered on Ezio, which were all scored by Jesper Kyd, I tend to enjoy the more ethereal picks usually for these games. But even then, I do have to say that I think Jesper Kyd is at his best when he's actually mixing some of this ethereal vibe with what's actually kind of his background, which is in more industrial sounding electronic music, which is not something he does very often in games. I think Warhammer is the first franchise in a while that has really allowed him to mix those two sides of his style.
Yeah, crazy to think that he's worked in the industry for so long and he's somehow still very much holding out on us.
Or the studios are holding him back, I don't know.
Something like that.
I can't imagine a world where the studios would hire this guy and then hold him back. But then again, I don't think I could imagine a world where someone did that to Ron Howard either. But, Solo, a Star Wars story exists. So studio heads are just sort of like that, I guess.
We live in the world where producers try to throw Mick Gordon under the bus, Crazier things have happened.
That man needs a full soundtrack again. I miss his work so much.
Also, we live in a world where Skies of Arcadia still doesn't have had a sequel or anything besides the GameCube remake.
Oh, and a cameo in Valkyria Chronicles 1.
No, I don't even remember it.
Yeah,
and I played both of those
the three
games.
main characters showed up as like minor soldiers.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, Skies of Arcadia is a game
just completely left my head somehow because I suspect of a recent confusion between Valkyrie Profile and Valkyria Chronicles in a completely unrelated conversation.
The similar name doesn't help.
Yeah.
This is a game that really needs a remake. I want more Skies of Arcadia. I'm surprised no one's done like an indie version. Like, honestly.
Absolutely. I'll take a sequel or spiritual sequel over a remake.
I'd be fine with either, to be perfectly honest. I really do miss this game, and having it not be available is a mess.
And yeah, if we're talking about flying themes, in this case in RPGs again, might as well put in the theme of the cool vehicle again, but that's all about flying.
Yeah. Flying is like a solid 50% of the entire game.
The islands are flying, the vehicles are flying, it's all flying all the way down.
Okay, when you put it that way, more than, but it's still largely a dungeon crawler.
Yeah, but like flying ship battles have their own separate battle system, which is also cool. But this is not a battle theme, this is essentially a ship theme / overworld theme. There's no really difference between those two notions in this game, because if you're on the world map, you are in a ship. And in this case, you are specifically in the Delphinus, the second major ship you commandeer throughout the game. And that is one of the coolest RPG ships around.
Oh yeah, I loved that thing. I loved fighting in that thing.
It's central to the plot. It intervenes in a very tangible way, even on ground flights, because you can call out your entire crew to do a 3 minutes long chain attack.
Uh-huh.
Even though you are in the sky and flying between islands, there are some parts that are sequestered with turbulence walls and height limits that Delphinus somewhat lifts compared to your previous ship, the Drachma. No, Drachma was the pilot. It was... Don't remember the name of the previous ship.
Yeah, that would have the...
Little Jack.
The chain harpoon.
I believe it was Little Jack, yes.
The big honking cannon.
Yeah, exactly. And so, even in a game where you pretty much start with a flying ship, it conveys the feeling of getting the flying ship for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Also, and then there's also a very neat part, which is displayed in the second part of the example track, which is that there's the base music theme, and it has an addition depending on which continent you are approaching. So, if you are approaching the Arabian Night-inspired continent of the Fire Moon, you are getting an instrument that is present in the city's theme, even when you are just flying near it. And this is the case for the 6 major places where this happens, and this kind of helps wrap up my point, which is that in this game, the skies you navigate through are not void, they are not empty, and the fact that they managed to make open skies feel so full of stuff while still feeling like you are going through the sky is a large part of what makes this game so unique.
Yeah. If only Tears of the Kingdom learned that particular lesson.
Ain't that the truth?
Someone's firing shots today.
I don't know what's wrong with me. You guys just keep opening me up to these, like, zingers.
You got the Delphinus cannon armed and ready to fire, and damn it, you gotta press that button.
When I played this game, I would go out of my way to make sure I shot with that thing. I loved it so much. I loved the air combat of that game so much. I heard people complaining about it. I'm like, you're crazy. This is so good. I like the air combat more than I like the ground combat in that game, I'll be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, yeah, so is Space Battleship Yamato. If you wanted to make the big cannon an allegory for nuclear weapon and their horrifying consequences, maybe you shouldn't have made the giant ship cannon so cool.
Right?
With a whole 2-minute sequence of arming it and loading up, and everything being the sweetest thing ever. So yeah, I'm not going to feel bad about it.
No.
Oh, some rocks near Jupiter have been blown up. Don't care, fired my cool cannon. But flying isn't all ships. How about we move to another RPG, but one where your main mode of air transportation isn't quite so mechanical.
No, we're not talking about Drakengard here. I thought about it. So...
It was in the running.
It was. So, actually, this isn't even a flight in the traditional sense song, because this is actually...
Yeah, this isn't Flammy's theme.
No, this is the final boss music, Meridian Dance, which, weirdly, despite being a final boss music, gets kind of slept on by the Secret of Mana community, because obviously the second to last track is such a insane use of SNES and the sound chip, and like the main boss theme sounds like all of these things sound really different in a way that this song is a lot more standard, but there's a lot going on here. And yeah, the final boss is a giant flying dragon, and dealing with it being in flight and bombarding you is actually a large part of the fight, as I recalled.
Also, don't you fight it aboard a big weird tech ship? Or is it the dungeon before that?
So sort of. There's like ancient ruins built into a floating island thing. You first see them in Adventure of Mana.
There it is.
It's I don't remember this part of the game all that well, except for the bosses.
I haven't played the game in quite a while.
Me neither, and I've heard the remake is just not very fun, so I've kind of been avoiding it.
I hated it.
But so yeah, again, this song popped into my mind because this one also got played at that Square Enix playlist concert, and I was kind of shocked it was this one and not one of the weirder tracks, but it kind of reminded me of how cool this song actually is when you just listen to it on its own. It's got a lot going on. It's got the like sweeping strings along with the slap bass. It's got a lot of really cool sequences. And yeah, you're fighting a scary flying thing, but there's still that sense of adventure in this song that I think is really cool.
Yeah, that's a good point. Also, you pick specifically an arrangement by Evelyn Lark, the Noble Demon, and we know she has some remixing chops from Vampire Survivor, and yeah, this one delivers as well. It does a lot, which conveys that things are pretty frantic, but never spins out of control. It goes on a really tight rope, and I think it pulls it off all the way through.
Yeah, this isn't One Winged Angel, and your a cappella version or otherwise. I'm still salty about that.
Oh boy.
Yeah, add that to the zinger list. Sorry.
And I feel no guilt at all.
As well you shouldn't.
I would be feeling weird if you had some feelings of guilt.
Yeah, but
But going back to the song, something that kind of jumps out to me on this specific cover version is that I kind of haven't always been the biggest fan of Kikuta's compositions because of the instrumentation choice, at least on the
Mhm.
first few Mana games.
fair.
So I really like the cover here because it kind of fixes the issues I had.
I wish I could have also gotten the orchestral arrangement that I heard at the concert, but there doesn't seem to be a release of that yet. I assume a recording of this is going to make its way into the wild at some point in the future. I think every one of these kinds of concerts has made it to a CD at some point. So that's a
Yeah.
matter of time, but unfortunately didn't exist as of this episode. That said, I agree with you, Eddie, a lot. This particular mix, it kills me that I didn't even I'm like, Evelyn Lark, where do I know that name from? And until you mentioned Vampire Survivors, I didn't even think of it.
Oh yeah, no, I was like when the Castlevania DLC for Vampire Survivors came out, I realized that her covers were my favorite ones in the soundtrack. So her name has been stuck in my mind ever since. And when I was listening to this cover, half of my brain was going, "This would fit in Vampire Survivors. Maybe they should do a Secret of Mana crossover."
You know, they could. They did Saga of all
They
things,
could.
so that's not.
Yeah.
It's not even close to impossible.
They've indeed done weirder things.
They sure have. The Among Us DLC stands
Although-
as probably the weirdest thing they've released.
Yes.
It was good, but it's weird,
It's shocking that it was good.
right?
But you'll never catch me say no to some space ducks, just as you'll never catch me say no to some more Mega Man in our lives.
Yeah, so,
So, how's the weather?
I kind of want to go on a journey first before going to the actual music. Because,
Take us through this journey.
yeah, I didn't actually start with Mega Man in my running list, let's say.
All right.
I knew of Storm Eagle, but we already talked about Storm Eagle in the past, and I don't think I would have much more to say about that song. So I was thinking about.
There is in my note, like it starts with, now, if I were to pick a Super NES Mega Man theme that happens to be in a flame-related stage, I admit I would have picked Storm Eagle stage from X.
Yeah, that did come to my mind earlier than Mega Man 7. But
All right.
what actually started this journey was a different Capcom game on the SNES, and that was Breath of Fire 2. Because much like you guys, I also thought of a flying airship from a JRPG. The thing is,
Ah,
the township in Breath of Fire 2 doesn't have a special theme for when it's flying.
oh, that's unfortunate. And also, I'm thinking now that, man, I should have thought about Demon's Crest. I think the flying theme on the overworld map was pretty cool for that. But continue.
My gothic self is saying that I should have thought of that.
Right?
But yeah, so the song that I was thinking was the flying theme from Breath of Fire 2 is actually just a late game overworld theme that happens to start playing when you unlock the ability to fly with the township if you did things right in the earlier parts of the game. So it's just a sort of intended coincidence, I guess, that they kind of appear more or less the same time. So
Right, so it coincides with it, but it works outside of it, kinda.
yeah, if you don't fit the requirements to fly with the township, that song still plays while you are walking around.
I see.
So I went, okay, that doesn't work. Let's go to Mega Man, I guess, because Mega Man always has something. I don't want to bring Storm Eagle up again because that's kind of too obvious. So I thought, wait, maybe Mega Man Battle Network. It does have the same robot masters as the classic series. There's a lot of air-based robot masters.
Sure
I could only
is.
remember one of those dungeons because I'd never remember which Navi is in which dungeon in that game, that series. And I didn't really like the theme for the Airman dungeon in Battle Network 2. So, okay, that doesn't work. Let's go
Yeah.
defend Mega Man 7 again. Why not? Like Mega Man 7 and Mega Man X6 are two games where the soundtrack shouldn't be as good as it is, and the
Fair.
soundtrack is incredibly slept on. And the other thing both have in common is the incredibly rushed development.
Yeah.
Mega Man
Seeing the
7
comments being like 3 months of work time and they still managed to drop that one out is
Yeah,
a whole thing.
I brought it up in the past in the podcast that from Mega Man X5 to X6, it was just a 6-month window between releases,
Mhm.
and yet the X6 soundtrack is probably my favorite of the franchise. Well, between Mega Man 6 and 7, it was 3 months of difference, though it was
Ugh.
likely a separate team because Mega Man 6 was on the NES and 7 was on the SNES.
Yeah.
So it likely was a different team working on it, but still 3 months. But yeah,
Quite a
I
thing.
think the soundtrack is very much slept on, in my opinion. A lot of people just tend to prefer the Mega Man 2 soundtrack because it's the catchier, but I think that doesn't mean Mega Man 7 lacks in quality.
Yeah,
And,
like there's other great soundtrack in the series. That doesn't mean those that don't reach the highest of bars are beneath notice.
and even like being catchy isn't really a good measurement of quality.
Yeah.
Something can be good and not be catchy.
Or
Absolutely.
the
Yeah.
other way around, as evidenced by Will.i.am's entire career.
Or Maroon
Oh,
5.
I thought you were going to have a Days at Escape.
Why did you bring that up? We managed to avoid talking about FF14 this entire episode so far.
We would have done so in No Playing anyway.
Darn.
Oh boy.
But as for the song, weather research, I will say I don't like the hook. Once it's out of the way, I'm already very much more in line. It has this innocent, light-hearted, flighty vibe. It works well, except for the hook, which
So mine-
It's a bit
feels
weird.
just weird, but not in the way I tend to like.
You know, I get it. Like, I don't mind the hook, but it is a bit weird.
So, I actually came away with a completely different take on this. And that is, sonically, this is actually a surprisingly similar song to the previous track, Meridian Dance, which I thought you kind of put them together intentionally. But it still has the same frantic intro and then the high string notes over the slap bass. Like, sonically, they're surprisingly similar songs.
Never stop overestimating how deliberate I am in my ordering.
Didn't think of that.
It's
but
great
yeah,
for my ego.
I didn't think in those terms, but yeah, the bass in particular it has a similar energy. Let's say.
Yeah, that struck me immediately, especially since I had just finished listening to Meridian Dance when taking my notes, and then listened to Cloudman. I'm like, wait a minute, this. I was just here, kind of.
I guess the fact that I listened to them first when they were in a different order is why I didn't draw the connection, so happy coincidences.
Love it when that happens.
Indeed.
Yeah, I think that more frantic start does work better in Meridian Dance. I think if I were to like put my finger on something, it would be the choice of using the flute sounds of the SNES in the more frantic intro that makes it a bit awkward in this song. But the main melody I really, really like.
Which is weird because, like, flying themes and winds go hand in hand pretty naturally. Even though it's technically a stage theme as well. So it kind of has to pull double duty, both need to work for its tone and for its function. And this can be a bit more at odds on something like this kind of combination.
Mm-hmm.
Still, considering that, I'd say it was pretty aptly managed. Except I still hate the hook. Sorry.
So let's jump from Rockman to some Rockman.
Alright. Let's talk about Blue Sky, specifically the live version from the Three Aces concert. I've mentioned that concert that happened at MagFest this year, 2026, from the band mostly known as the Tiberian Suns, as now playing a part, and now I thought I couldn't really, in good conscience, enter that episode without an Ace Combat track.
No, this is absolutely something you should have included, 100%.
Yeah. And so I went with this one because it has definitely a different feel than the more exploratory one. This one is more about the retelling of this epic tale where dogfights are somehow the most important things in the world.
It's very Broadway.
Yeah, very, very intense, very large in an importance and tonal kind of way.
Yeah.
With also the splicing in of the vocal samples that happen throughout the concert. It's something they like to do, both helping with reminding you of the context of the tracks, and just because, I mean, they are first and foremost the Tiberian Suns, and splicing in a lot of vocal samples is about the most Frank-Klepacki thing you could do. And so this one is no exception. And it's, aside from that, very much all about the sense of importance of consequences of what happens in those skies, and kind of romanticizing them a little in a way that is different from, say, a historic epic tone like Sogno di Volare, which we mentioned earlier, could have gone to.
So, this track in particular bothers me. And it bothers me for reasons unrelated to the composition, because I really like symphonic rock. This is absolutely the sort of thing I would listen to. But first, the crowd doesn't seem like they care. I don't see anyone moving or getting into it. They're just sort of standing there. So the vibe already is not hitting the vibe check. Which is all the more indicting, given that this was the opening song. Yeah, they just...
this is when they're not winded yet.
Yeah. And then the singer gets really pitchy in the verses. She hits the chorus really well, but during the verses, like, I am not familiar with the song, and I could tell she was way off key at a couple of these points. And I don't know if this is the original singer for the game itself, but
I don't know either.
Yeah, I found myself fairly disappointed by her performance, so I was already kind of like, all right, this is not my thing. Then the dude on the red guitar comes in, and he's actually really cool, and I'm loving this guy. And then the vocal sample comes in, throws the vibe all off again. I came out of this...
it sounds like there's a lot of high and lows.
Yeah, just like flying, ha 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 ha. I knew where you were going with that. Figured I'd cut you off at the pass. Or perform an Immelman and shoot you down or something. Insert bad flight pun here. Okay. I don't know, I came out of this song with just 4 words. I miss Meatloaf. Because this has some serious Jim Steinman energy, but...
I didn't expect that, but okay. I can see it.
I don't know. I feel like this one is kind of hampered by an underwhelming performance. And this singer's trying, like, she's grooving, she is singing, and she is hitting those high notes, but it's the normal notes where she's, like, rather often messing up. This isn't like a one and done thing. This is she has a lot of problems staying on key.
Yeah.
I did watch parts of the concert. They made it available for free on YouTube.
Indeed.
There are some other songs that I'd say her performance is better, especially in the encore. They straight up sing Danger Zone, and I think she does well there. She does a duet with a male singer.
Yeah, it sounds like she's it sounds like she just hadn't warmed up by this point yet, or this song had some rehearsal issues or something.
Yeah,
maybe.
I can see it.
And I guess the crowd felt that too, because the crowd does get more animated later into the concert. Of course, especially when you're singing Danger Zone, the crowd will go up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think I still came out of this one enjoying the song, but I do have some points of criticism that line up with what Gil said.
Yeah, same. Like, everything you're saying makes perfect sense to me, and in the end, I still jump to it. But
that's fair.
Like, I knew there were going to be some discussions, and discussions are kind of what we're here for. So, mission accomplished.
Yep.
I'm now curious to listen to the rest of the concert, because I don't I kind of skipped around, so I don't know where, like, if there is a specific point where the singer gets better all of a sudden, or if it's just this song.
Given that the concert also goes between 3 different games and kind of has those 3 arcs, there is also the possibility of the public being more acquainted to the other 2 games, given that like 0 and 7 are respectively probably the biggest and the more recent entry in the franchise. So 5 has a bit of an uphill battle there.
That could be part of it. It's hard for me to tell. And I hate being this critical about a performance like this, because it is conceptually really cool.
Yeah, it's not the kind of performance where you end up with a low opinion of any individual person, but that definitely was something that didn't quite make the performance live up to the song's potential, or to the artist's potential in a way.
I will say that there is one thing in particular that is really cool and really worth applauding, which is the fact that they kind of ended up forming some sort of like makeshift chamber orchestra, but that's actually like 3 or 4 different groups of people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. No, the backing instruments,
there's
I saw
a lot of collaboration.
The pink-haired French horn player and the like various string players, like they definitely brought the crew to bear on this one, which is awesome.
Yeah. If you look at the credits, it's like it's the band, it's the guest singer, she isn't actually a part of the band, and then there's like 3 groups of different like they're focused on different kinds of instruments, and they all got together and essentially formed a chamber orchestra to play alongside the Tiberian Suns. And like that came out
because
really
you
well.
kind of need that to move from Command and Conquer to Ace Combat. You need something bigger.
It's not just industrial metal there.
Yeah. But yeah, that was mainly a way to have a spicier version of an entry that kind of had to be there. It was either that or Star Fox, which would have been a very timely option with the other remake of 64 that's coming up.
Which is the other remake of the original game. Let's be honest about that too.
I know, right? Yep. It's so weird that it's a franchise that is very much mainline, very much still alive, but that has 1.5 game.
Rana, I hate to break it to you.
Across like 5 or 6 entries.
I hate to break it to you.
Yeah.
We're Dynasty Warriors fans. We should be used to this by now.
I'm not saying this is unfamiliar territory.
I will say, for as many shots as you're taking, I appreciate the self shots occasionally.
Hey, I'm an equal opportunity shot taker, I guess. Yeah.
Fair plays me in taking digs at yourself as well.
All I will say is that Star Fox Assault needs more love, because that's actually like a cool game. And
That was my point 5.
Yeah. That was your point 5. Where does the weirdo DS game come into play there?
Does it?
It exists. I hate to break it to you.
I hate it when things exist.
Yeah, me too, a little bit, I'll be honest.
Now then, how about we recenter and talk about Ace Combat again? Oh wait, the serial numbers have been filed off.
Which is funny because the music sounds nothing like Ace Combat. I want to once again give a shout out to Jose Pavli, who wrote for Project Wingman on its expansion, what was it, Frontier 98 or something?
Looks like it, yeah.
Frontline 59, I think.
Cool, numbers are hard.
My notes are wrong.
Yeah,
no, I think that was right.
76 was the Fallout one.
Right. I think I said 98, didn't I? Which one's 76? I don't know.
Maybe you did.
Now I'm just thinking of the random numbers that the Anno franchise gives to its entries.
Project Wingman number. That's what we know here. I like Jose Pavli. He does some cool stuff. I remember during the Tension episode, I randomly ran across his work on Spotify. Since then, I've been listening to that soundtrack. He actually released a song not too long ago that I kind of wanted to include, but I couldn't verify it was from a game or not, so therefore I wasn't sure of its eligibility for this. So I just dove right back into the Project Wingman soundtrack, found this one, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is a cool song.
It is a cool song.
It is a cool song.
Yeah, I like this guy. I like how there's the low building intro. It's very tense. The strings and percussion kind of come in slowly.
Yeah.
Then the chorus. There's some throat singing in here, which is weird. There's some handbells in here, which is cool. Like, this is just instrumentally a very nifty album.
Yeah. I think it's also a really solid, like, the entire work on Project Wingman is also a really solid example of how to do cinematic compositions that still work in video games.
Yes.
So sometimes, like, often you get these cinematic compositions that, like, it sounds like you're playing a movie, you're listening to a movie somewhere behind you, like there's another screen that it's playing a movie while you're playing your game.
Mm-hmm.
This actually feels like it would fit in with the gameplay.
Oh yeah, it does. It's definitely giving an atmosphere. Like, I don't think any of us have played Project Wingman.
No, but I'm increasingly interested in maybe trying it.
Same. But this feels like a night mission of sorts. Or maybe one when you're trying to evade radar coverage or something. Because it does have, in its sinister subtone, kind of a stealth aspect to it.
Yeah.
While still having the tension, the heat of the moment, the split-second decision that is the difference between lining up your shot and getting blasted to smithereens. It's very, very solid.
Yeah, it's probably the darkest song on this entire playlist today, which we kind of haven't done.
You'd think it would be the Xenogears one, huh?
You would think that, because that's usually that soundtrack's vibe, but Mitsuda's like, nope, exhilaration of flight, let's go, which, good.
Yep.
No, I need to seriously take a look at this game and maybe give it a shot, because so far this has been everything I've discovered from this, whether it shows up on the Spotify playlist or situations like today where I'm diving in, trying to find it. I've enjoyed basically everything I've heard from it.
I need to have my I'm flying era where I just take down from the shelf my flight stick and clear Ace Combat 7, clear and start and clear Project Wingman, get in some other cool playing games while I'm at it, wait for Ace Combat 8 to come out and probably enjoy that too. And
you know the man's serious about his mission when he brings up the peripherals.
Right?
I mean, it's already there. Like, at the announcement of Ace Combat 8, the next day I had ordered the stick so I wouldn't have to borrow my brother's hot ass, which stands for hands on throttle and stick.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's gotta mean, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Nope, I get it.
That's the name?
Yep.
That is technically not going to be censored, I think.
I don't think I can.
It stands for hands on throttle and stick. I don't make the rules.
Okay. I'm going to hard pivot now. And I'm going to get
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to get this next bit out of the way. I don't know what's going on in Driftland. This is not something I've ever heard of. But I see a half-dressed redhead elf chick, and I'm just like, okay, you have my attention? Do you have my curiosity?
That's why she's on the cover.
I'm sure.
Oh boy. Yeah, so Driftland is a game that if you know about it, you probably spend as much time as I do browsing the strategy tab on GOG.com.
I know about it. I've played it. It's good.
Yeah, it's a lesser known RTS. It's of the more... It's not one of those like high APM StarCraft or Age of Empires like. It's from that era of RTS where most games had a more elaborate form of resource gathering, and so the entire game had a slower pace and more deliberate. And usually they had some sort of a gimmick, and in this case, the gimmick was that the continent itself was floating and separated into small islands.
Yeah, essentially the way you expand your territory is that you look at a floating island and you say, this is mine, and telekinetically drag it closer to your island until you can build a bridge to it.
Yep.
Interesting.
And the redhead chick in the cover that you clearly saw is one of your potential units depending on the faction you're playing.
Got it.
Because your units are also flying.
This sounds like hell on Earth, or not on Earth, I guess, since we're in the air. Please continue.
It is remarkably chill, to be honest. After a point, it does get hard in the campaign, but in terms of pacing, it's a remarkably chill strategy game.
Chill? RTS?
Remarkably chill song. Yeah, no, it's more of an... The exploration phase is more key than the high APM combat phase.
Huh.
Yeah, and it lasts much longer.
If anything, like, it's about at the halfway point between, I'd say, an Empire Earth and an Anno.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Like, it doesn't go full city builder like the Anno franchise does, but it does have a lot. Which I think
would have helped the game in the long term.
Honestly,
because it's probably the best iteration of magical floating island there is.
I mean, to be honest, considering the main gimmick of Anno being that you need to go to different islands because they have different resources, going Anno, but you get to bring the islands to you because you're that much of a wizard, sounds like a fun time.
That actually does.
Sadly, that's not the word we live in.
To quickly amend what I said, the best iteration of floating island in games that have an open-ended gameplay, your save chrono triggers 12,000 BC.
Foreshadowing.
Sounds about right. But yeah, this, like I said, my one mission was to try to bring some out-of-pocket picks for this episode, and this is definitely the most out-of-pocket one.
Yeah, but honestly, I saw it on the playlist, and I was like, I would have never thought back to it, and nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I I'm going to be honest, the song, to my ear, sounds very similar to the AC2 pick. It's piano instead of guitar, but the same kind of elements are still there. I would argue same pros and cons. It's kind of meandering as a song, but the atmosphere is very nice, very chill.
Given the nature of the gameplay, it kind of needs to be able to loop pretty easily. I think of the selection, it's one of the best feature of woodwinds and wind instruments in general.
The pipes are cool. I even have that specifically written down. The pipes are cool.
It's definitely a more floating than flying. To go bring back what I brought up, the elements I mentioned at the start of the episode. Yeah, it's just a pleasant time, really. And like Rana said, this game flows much more slowly than other RTSs, so the music kind of has to loop a little bit. So that might explain the lack of resolution. And I am the guy who likes his ethereal crap, so I like this ethereal song. What a surprise.
Yeah, no, this is very much an Eddie song. Shocking.
Oh, yeah. But a solid one.
Yeah, I mean, if you're into this kind of music, which I will admit not being one, but I certainly don't hear anything objectionable about it. It's sort of not my thing.
Now, you mentioned the theme was more about the tone was more floating than the active flight that covered most of the episode, and that's kind of why I picked the next and last track of these entries, which was some more pilot wings. We've covered a little bit in the 100th episode, and I wanted to cover another flying vehicle you can control in the game, which is the hang glider, specifically because I love how soft the song is while still being very distinct, very recognizable.
I'll be honest, I know that the original Pilot Wings exists, but 64 has so completely subsumed my mental space when it comes to that. I was genuinely expecting it to be Pilot Wings 64 and got shocked that it wasn't.
Which is... I mean, I assume this could have happened to me had I ever played 64, but I never did. Pilot Wings was the only one I had in this series, and boy did I play that. Without any save, of course, which is why I mainly played the first round of qualifications. Maybe a little, probably up to the first helicopter mission, mainly. But it was tricky, especially for a much younger self, but I came back to it in large part because the vibes are good, and the vibes for the hang glider especially are very chill, very pleasant, with the song that lets you go along the wind currents rather than make your own path across the sky. It's a theme that harbors no sharp turn, no jerky motion. You're just following along.
Mm-hmm. It's a very cute song. It's very chill. The synth pipes are cool. It's one of those songs that if I heard it,
it's kind of a short loop, though.
Yeah, it's one of those songs that if I hear it, I instantly recognize it, but I'll be honest, it does not actually stick in my memory in a real way.
Which is funny, because I definitely heard it much earlier in my life, and it very quickly returned to my mind.
I can believe it. There are some songs
formative memories will do that, I suppose.
Sure enough.
Yeah, there are some songs from my childhood that if I were to mention them, no one would have thought of any of them. But yeah, this is a neat little song. I do find it interesting that even though you're on a hang glider, there still is a little bit of a percussion driving things forward on this one. There is some forward momentum still.
Yeah, it's not completely... you're not completely abandoned to it. You still have some grip to it, just like the song still have a little bit of drums, a little bit of beats, just to kind of give structure to the song. It's not the main star, but it's there. And I think our flight has reached its destination at this point. So how about we calmly head out to Terminal Now Playing?
Music Arcade, now playing.
I don't know how apt an image that was. I haven't been to an airport in years.
I've been to way too many this last month alone.
Yeah, we know.
Which is funny because those too many airports are literally just Honolulu and LAX, and that's it. But, easier than you'd think?
I mean, you gotta get used to it at some point.
Yeah. There was a point.
And stop me if I'm wrong, again, not that familiar with airports, but airports are not video game.
No, they're not. No, they are not. I would like to go last, please, as I have a fairly long segment, and I don't want to get in the way of the rest of you guys.
Then I will go first. Played quite a bit, and I will start with Disco is Dead, which has released in early access, and I've talked about the demo and the fact that you can put your own songs in the Infinite Disco mode, which was already very cool. Mm-hmm. And now with the early access, they've expanded that, added challenge modes, and added the first 4 bosses of the story mode. And there's definitely some polish that's needed in some part, especially the sound effects in the transition feel very lacking right now, which is very noticeable given how excellent the sound design of the game is in other parts. And the songs themselves have been very impressive. All 5 of them, because there's 4 boss stages, but one of the tracks for another boss, which is a punk rocker that sold out, is affected by streamer mode, where if you have it turned off, it's a remix of Maniac.
Oh.
And if not, it's another original track that's pretty decent, but not my favorite. My favorite would be Mission from the stage, I guess, Prophet, which is written by Joshua Malad and sung by Masbo Q, which is a rapper from New Zealand. And that does a wonderful, wonderful job. It feels very modern, very much a hip-hop song that stands on its own in a world post-Drake and Kendrick beef. And that works really well to have a lot of different phases to accompany the different stages of this fight.
I freaking love this song, and I say that as a guy who doesn't actually like hip-hop all that much.
Honestly, I'm surprised because I specifically held out on picking the more metal-adjacent track in the hopes that you would be interested enough in the game to try it for yourself with the game, with the whole synergistic elements of the game, elevating it.
I want to wait for a more complete build it definitely seems like it's up my alley from what I've seen.
That's entirely fair, but you don't need to be that good at rhythm games to enjoy this game. It feels like a brawler with the timing element as a guideline and bonus that you go along with pretty naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I've seen on, I've been getting a lot of videos, of gameplay videos from this game recommended to me on YouTube. And the way I see it, it's basically the combat system from the Batman Arkham games, but with a rhythm element to get bonus points.
Indeed, which stands out in the boss songs in unique ways as well. For instance, on a specific phase against Prophet, there are in the song moments where the choir go, ho, 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 and generally the boss will attack you at this pace, giving you the guide to parry, dodge, and then counter.
So I want to talk about this song very briefly.
By all means.
In pre-production, Eddie said it sounds like a song that Kendrick would rap to. I'm going to disagree with you on that one. Because I think we're kind of, I don't want to say beyond Kendrick, but like, I grew up in, honestly, the golden years of hip-hop at the start of Gangsta in the early 90s that basically had the same impact as grunge on rock, with largely the same trajectory. Came out with a splash, all these huge names, took over the landscape, completely changed everything, and then quickly commercialized into what came after.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, this song sounds to me like one of the Wu-Tang Clan spin-off records, like the RZA's offbeat album with Method Man, which was super good for an OG hip-hop fan, by the way. That's what this instantly reminded me of.
I need to do a big catch-up on the Wu-Tang.
Okay, Wu-Tang
It's missing to my culture.
Okay, Wu-Tang Clan was basically a collective of a bunch of different rappers from, I believe they're from New York. They're East Coast. That mattered a lot more back then than it does now.
Of course.
And they had all these individual members with all of these individual styles, and they meshed them together, and a lot of their songs had basically everyone on one track, which made these tracks last forever because there were like 10 guys on a track.
Essentially, it's a collapse table.
Yes, that's a good way to put it.
Okay.
Now, the individual members of which, probably the most famous being Old Dirty Bastard and Method Man, they...
I do know of Ghostface Killer first and foremost.
Yeah, oh, well, that's interesting that he's top of the list. Yeah, Ghostface was one of them, Raekwon was one of them, the RZA, etc., etc., etc. They had all of these, like, side albums where they would release so-called solo records, which was really just them, but maybe 3 or 4 other guys.
Okay.
And that's what this reminds me of. It reminds me of one of those side albums, which are still very good. It just doesn't have, like, everybody there.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. I'm still comparing it to a legend of hip-hop, just an older one, not a modern one.
And it's interesting that they did that while picking a singer that isn't part of the US scene, which is the biggest in the genre. But
I wouldn't have guessed he was from New Zealand until you told me. That is...
Yeah. I found out myself while researching for the episode, and he has done a fantastic job.
Yeah.
I will just note as a follow-up to what Galen was talking about, that the barber I go to is a huge enough fan of the Wu-Tang Clan that has a ton of their album covers on the wall. So I guess I should ask him to give me a catch-up.
Do it.
Sorry, I was just laughing because honestly, I feel like barbers and a lot of Wu-Tang Clan memorabilia is an iconic duo.
Kinda, yeah.
I believe that was the case for my barber when I was actually growing my beard. And that's certainly my favorite of the song, and all the other songs are really catchy too. Right now, essentially, when it comes to tones, there's a hard rock guy, there's this guy, there's the guy that's supposed to be punk but really helps more let the disco part shine through, and there's a K-pop singer with delusions of grandeur.
This kind of reminds me of Lollipop Chainsaw, just without the zombies. Am I crazy thinking that?
No, and I would say technically there's at least one zombie, and that's the player character. Which is an interesting inversion. Yeah, the plot is that you're resurrected for one night to get the band back together, even though the band hates you now.
So
and you're the drummer of that band.
It's the Crow.
Which is why one of the quick combo is fighting with drumsticks. And yeah, I suppose.
Huh.
Anyway, I played a fair bit of other games as well. Heroes and Might and Magic Olden Era also released in early access, which means we now know more about the campaign and the two factions that weren't playable in the demo, and they're also good. And the campaign does some very interesting things, like not having you play as the human faction, and also have you have stages where you're controlling the hero and no town, so they're doing away with the whole turn-by-turn system and just give you infinite movement. And it's essentially an exploration game at this point. They've really well thought out about their systems and how to make them work with the game, and I love to see it. It's a great entry already. And I'm looking forward to them expanding on that further.
I could definitely see myself playing it.
Yeah, especially with skirmishes, the game feels pretty complete. And if you want to hop on it at some point in the future and want to get some multiplayer in, whether co-op or you against me, hit me up. Although we do have that Overcooked game to do first. Then Alabaster Dawn released in early access as well. The early access is definitely more limiting there because it's a story-driven action RPG, but it goes further from the demo and lets you revive your second settlement, go through a Temple of Trials, stretch your legs with the combat system as well, and it's all clean, excellent, and a proud successor to the studio's previous game Crosscode.
Oh, this was
completely different in setting. Yeah, this is the Crosscode guys.
Okay.
And it plays similar, but feels much more refined. The pacing of the big dungeon that I've gone through was so much more improved compared to Crosscode, where it was some cool puzzles, but it felt like the phases stretched out a little. They've done a much better job at alternating things so that you don't get bored of the puzzle and yearn for a fight too long, or bored of the succession of fights and yearn for a puzzle to break things up. And they've done a really great job, and I look very much forward to each update that will follow.
Yeah. You said it was by the Crosscode team, so I'm automatically intrigued because that was very interesting what little of that I played. And then the song itself sounds very FF Tactics. Again, like it's the same kind of Sakimoto strings. I kind of thought it might have been Base Escape for a second.
Same composer as Crosscode as well.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And it's not the most memorable track so far. I feel like there maybe could be a little bit more spice or whimsy or something to make them stand out, because they are tonally right. The tracks make perfect sense where they are.
Mm-hmm.
Still looking for that X factor though.
Yeah.
Which was kind of the case on Crosscode as well, with a couple of exceptions. And I'm looking forward and hoping for those exceptions here. Next, got back to some FF14 pretty actively lately. I've been leveling some off jobs in the lead up to the next expansion that will come at the start of next year. And I've been doing a lot of healer stuff as I also go through the relic weapon steps. It's FF14.
Yep.
It's fun.
Yep.
It's a bit panic-inducing when you enter a dungeon and then realize that your action bar looked pretty breezy because as an astrologian, you failed to consider putting in your entire drawing card mechanic or a couple of other important buttons.
Good
for
job.
Some reason. Thank you. Still kept everyone alive. Oh, I did the job.
Okay, good job. Like, for real this time.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Being back on that train, and it's been pretty fun. And I'm not just saying train because of the 7.4 boss.
That was such a fun boss. That EX was really good.
Oh yeah, it was probably one of my favorite trials around.
I don't know whether I like that one or EX3 better, but either way, like those two are absolute peak.
Agreed. Then I've played some Vampire Crawlers. It's out of demo and just have released, and it's fun to just play your cards and reach the point where things get crazy and get stuff going, like combos that doesn't break between turns and reach increasingly absurd numbers. It scratches that itch in a turn-by-turn format. Very relaxing.
That's a game that I need to try still. Like, I tried it once, but when it was just a demo, and the introduction to the demo was extremely slow-paced. I need to try the full thing, actually, because I've been hearing some good things, but the intro to the demo drove me away.
You do need to get some relics going and get beyond the average Italian countryside.
Probably I got to the second stage in the demo, but still, that was quite a few months ago.
Probably my biggest complaint is that the title track by Yoko Shimomura is not available in Vampire Survivors, because I would love to play a stage listening to that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Like, they picked their collab partner well.
Mm-hmm.
Unsurprisingly. And in the dungeons themselves, having tracks with a mid-battle variation and an exploration variation is nice too. It's a change of pace.
Cute little variable mix that you wouldn't think of in something like Vampire Survivors.
Exactly. They're using the genre to do things that wouldn't make sense in the other genre.
Mm-hmm.
And as a couple of final entries for this now playing on Venice turn, I will shout out the speedrunning marathon that I've been watching, which is Speedon, which, as the name and the way I've pronounced it suggests, is French language, but there has been some GDQ restreams and other language restreams, and it's been some really cool work, which included some rhythm game showcases that literally had me hit up a friend to just type, I love rhythm games. As we both realized, we looked up the prices of Taiko no Tatsujin drum controllers, because brains of rhythm players work like that, I suppose.
How bad are they, dare I ask?
You can get a decent one for $80.
Oh, that's a lot better than I was expecting.
Yeah.
I was hoping for the worst.
It's not something like a deluxe full-on solid metal DDR pad or anything like that, which helps. You do have some much more elaborate models, of course, but we don't go there. Certainly not as a first choice anyway.
Yeah.
And finally, because I am clearly in a very Italian part of my life right now with Vampire Crawlers as well, I'm going there for a concert of my own, though I won't be flying, I will be taking the bus, but I will be enjoying in a month and change a concert that will feature Amy Evans and Shoji Meguro and Michiru and Kaori Yamane and Noriyuki Iwadare and Akira Yamaoka. I didn't realize he was there at first, but that's... Yeah. Which is all the more funny given that the run currently happening in the silent stream of Speedon on the other screen is Silent Hill F.
Of course.
And there's even some of the singers for some songs of Baldur's Gate 3, including Maria Anastasova, Ilona Ivanova, Ivaila Todorova, and Mark Choi. I believe the first of those four is the one of the singers on the Raphael boss fight song.
Oh, cool.
So that's fun for everyone.
This sounds like a really cool trip, and I'm glad you're getting a chance to go.
Yeah.
I feel like I helped kind of convince you to do that.
You did. And because there were 2 occasions to meet Michiru Yamane, and this one seemed like the more concert one, although there was, and I did take a VIP package to take an aperitivo with the composers as well ahead of the Sunday concert. So that's going to be fun too.
Oh, nice.
Fancy.
Very cool.
Indeed.
Be sure to tell us all about it once you see it. I can't wait.
I will be your reporter on the scene.
Perfect. Eddie, what the heck have you been playing?
No, what have you been playing, Eddie, indeed?
That's a good question because I don't remember everything. I actually
It has been a while.
Yeah, I have tried a few things over the past month thanks to the Game Pass. So I'll keep it short to the 2 main games that I have something to say about the soundtrack.
Which remind me, aren't you too heartbroken about the loss of Call of Duty as a sacrifice to get to avoid the price increase?
I'm shedding tears.
I knew it. Be strong, my friend. Be strong.
Such a loss. But yeah, what I have actually been playing. So I believe I mentioned on the last episode that I was playing some Manor Lords, trying it out a little bit.
Yep.
I've recently actually tried out a different medieval city builder, which is kind of a competitor to Manor Lords, called Farthest Frontier. It's really neat. Made by Crate Entertainment, who are known just for ARPGs other than this game. They've made Titan Quest 1 and 2 and Grim Dawn.
Yeah. I always love it when a studio switches the legs out a little.
Yeah, it's also really cool entry into the genre. I really enjoy the way the game plays, and it looks really pretty. The soundtrack is a very different approach to Manor Lord. So Manor Lords tried to do this folky thing where it wants to sound like medieval folk music. Farthest Frontier just wants to sound cozy. There's a lot of cellos going around, a lot of violins. Just wants to sound cozy, and it succeeds. It is neat. It's a really pretty soundtrack.
Both approaches have merit.
That they do. And the other game that I have something to say about the soundtrack that I've played was Age of Mythology with the new Obsidian Mirror DLC, which brings 2 new songs to the game, I believe. One for the main menu and one theme for the Aztecs when you actually go into a match.
Calling it Age of Mythology Obsidian Mirror, nominated for the Grammys this year.
I
2 songs, one more than they need, I think.
I think it actually needs to be released officially. There are no official albums with the music, but otherwise I wouldn't be surprised.
I guess we're safe for now.
For now.
I don't know why Microsoft doesn't just release them as singles or something, but yeah, this is the 3rd DLC for Age of Mythology Retold, and they haven't released singles or albums for any of the 3 DLC so far. But anyway.
Which is strange. I think I remember Microsoft is usually somewhat decent at releasing soundtracks.
For some reason, they've been pretty bad with the DLCs to their RTS games. Like,
strange.
Age of Empires.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, Age of Empires 2 got a lot of DLCs. And whenever you get a new civilization, that civilization gets at least 1 track themed around them. Because when you load into a game, you load into the theme song for your civilization.
Makes sense.
But for some reason, I don't think they've released the DLCs to Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition or Age of Mythology Retold as albums or singles or whatever, which they should, but anyway. As you might expect, going back to ancient mythology, as you might expect, the songs for the Aztecs are very flute heavy
Yep.
because, of course, they are.
Yeah.
And in terms of gameplay, the Aztecs are fairly complex. I didn't expect them to be like I knew the way you would get favor with the gods for them would have to do with sacrificing, but I didn't
course.
expect there to be a stealth and trap mechanic for the Aztecs.
To sacrifice your enemies.
Yeah, you can sacrifice either your villagers or you can bring a war priest to where the souls of your enemies are lying from.
Nice.
But yeah, there's like a stealth mechanic where some things get stealth when near wood, near forest. You can also place traps that have a stealth mechanic to them. Like it's very elaborate. I'm still trying to get used to their gameplay style because it's much more involved than the other four. The other six.
I'm just glad of getting weird with it.
Yeah, they're definitely getting experimental, and we'll see what else comes next. I'm hoping they go for some sort of Mesopotamian civilization in the next DLC.
Ooh, the potential.
This was just the only one that was announced. So they finished this DLC pack, which was a few cosmetics and then the Obsidian Mirror DLC, and we don't know what's next. So keep an eye out.
Exciting.
And that's it for me because I don't remember the rest.
All right. Get on, tell us about video games, or more likely the music of video games.
Well, we'll talk about the games I am playing real quick. We already mentioned Vampire Crawlers. I like it. I don't think I like it as much as you do, but I like it. I'm, of course, still playing Arknights. It's one of the few games I can regularly play during this whole no computer debacle.
Oh, you play Arknights?
Yep, sure do. And
nice.
That leaves us with the random Music of Square Enix concert. Now, it was advertised, I don't want to say advertised, but it was heavily implied there wouldn't be any Final Fantasy, so I got very annoyed that the opening track was One Winged Angel. I actually, slumped in my seat as I heard that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Which One Winged Angel shouldn't be allowed to do, but I get it.
I've heard that song so many times, and the fact that it was the opening track, we get it. Do something weirder, please. Thankfully, they took that advice.
And he did.
Yeah. Very next track was Octopath Traveler main theme. That was very pretty.
Yeah.
Then the ongoing war between the Roth brothers. They played Weight of the World, but no Janique Nicole. So we got a bad instrumental version of Weight of the World. And I'm like, I cannot wait for this actual near concert in November with Eric Roth and the actual singers, Emmy Evans and Janique Nicole. So that's going to be way better. We got a bunch of Shimamura in here, 3 different Kingdom Hearts games. Secret of Mana Meridian Dance, we talked about that earlier. Romancing Saga 2 came up.
All right.
Expected.
Yeah, that is just not a franchise that Square really pays much attention to, though more recently they seem to have kind of been doing more.
And the remake for 2 was both pretty recent and looks fantastic.
Yep. We got Away from Final Fantasy XVI, Phoenix's theme. That was kind of on my thought process for this episode as well, because, but also I'd already done 2 songs from this concert I wanted to talk about. I did not want a third. That would be way too much. Megalomania from Live Alive.
Ah, nice.
Yep, that was a cool mix. The next 2 are funny because the video editors in both cases had a little fun. First, we had, I think it's called Inori from Near Reincarnation. And they made sure to throw as much A2 footage in there as they could. They apparently really liked A2 from, I guess, an Automata crossover.
Yeah, that checks out.
And then we got actual Final Fantasy Tactics music played live. Man, that was cool. It was a medley of the intro theme of Precipitous Combat. And the video editor had a lot of fun because they absolutely had to show at least one scene of Rafa completely whiffing her entire attack, as she sometimes does.
They know.
They know. Trials of Mana. They did that game's Meridian, quote unquote. I forget what it was called, but it actually had, I think it was like an overworld theme of some kind. It was like Meridian Child, I think, or something. It actually had bits and pieces of the Meridian Dance theme in there, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
Back to Octopath Traveler for Treasure, which is, I forgot her name, Tessa, I think. Battle intro, and then Battle 2. Then they had a whole...
Honestly, hearing all of that makes me kind of more okay with the Final Fantasy track, especially the Phoenix one, because it really positions them less as a centerpiece and more like a part of the Square Enix catalog, which is vast and diverse, and I kind of like that.
Chrono Trigger medley, they did 4 songs from that. They did
that checks out.
Wind Scene, Frog's theme, and then a medley of Corridors of Time and Scala's theme.
Yeah.
Corridors of Time was a little weak because it was very much an Arnie Roth arrangement, and there was no like fancy strings or anything like that. I like the live version that Eddie brought a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
After that was Soaring from Xenogears.
Yeah.
Back to messing up Nier stuff, they did Kaine's theme, again without Emmy Evans, so that was just like, why are you here? Chrono Cross medley, and then they wrapped it up with the Final Fantasy Battle medley, which they played for a while, which is Battle on the Big Bridge, Battle with Seymour, FF13 main battle theme, and then FF7 main battle theme, and then the victory theme, all in one pile.
Cool stuff.
There was some really good stuff in there. A lot of it was on the nose. You know, Arnie Roth, what are you gonna do? This is the way he arranges.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to complain when I got to hear... Like, the medleys were actually kind of the coolest part. The Tactics medley, the 2 Chrono Trigger medleys, and the Chrono Cross medley.
Yeah.
Those were the parts that I thought were most interesting because they were willing to play around with a little more than I'm used to. Whereas my least favorite was, of course, One Winged Angel, because that's frickin' everywhere. And... Oh, and then somewhere in the midst there, they played Xanarkand. I forgot about that. I don't remember where I put that. I didn't take a picture of that one. They played that. They played Xanarkand from 10 as well.
All right, sure.
Yeah. That's, I think Arnie kind of joked at one point they were mandated to play that in anything that played Final Fantasy. I kind of think that's why that's there. I get it.
Okay.
That and One Winged Angel are the 2 songs I hear constantly, but thankfully they're not going to play that at the 2 concerts they announced for later this year. They already have the Nier concert, and then this was the first time I saw they're doing an actual full-on Chrono Trigger concert. I'm gonna have to go to that one, aren't I?
I mean, it's the favorite song. It's the favorite game of the podcast, statistically.
But this was a really cool show, and I'm glad I got a chance to see it, even if it was a gigantic pain in the butt.
Wonderful, except for the pain in the butt part.
You know, you make the joke about too many airports, and it was both too many airports and too few airports, because it was only the 2 airports, but man, have I seen way too much of those 2 airports.
Becomes familiar thoughts at some point. But, yeah, for all the flying we do around for one reason or another, gives you appreciation for your home and your editing PC that somehow didn't lose all of its settings, right?
No, my computer is surprisingly functional. I do have
Love to hear it.
a couple of non-issue things I got to deal with, but that's entirely a future me problem and not particularly disruptive.
I was going to say we take those small wins, but that's not a small win. That's a big one.
That's a huge one. Yeah. The fact that I got up and running as quickly as I did is giant.
Especially given that things had been pretty rocky, so having seen the end of that tunnel sounds like a relief.
It really is, which unfortunately we did our relief episode ages ago, so that was a good one. I liked that one.
Can't recycle all those themes.
I think the timing was similar too. Was right after either you or I had some really rough times.
Yeah.
Well, let it be a reminder when hard times come to an end. And so does this episode, even though that was a good time spent in your excellent company as always.
Thank you all so much for watching. As always, you can find a playlist of the songs we talked about in the description below. You can find us on Blue Sky. Come say hi. And with that, we will see you all next episode. Have a good one, everybody.
Bye.
See you next time.